Hello, hello. Well, welcome back to this week's episode of Raw and Uncut by us, John and Melissa from Print Base. This week, this episode that I am now calling episodes. I've made this a thing now, apparently.
Episodes, yeah.
It's a thing. We've been doing
It
this
is.
long
It
enough that
is.
I've made it a thing.
I think-
We're talking about LinkedIn. So if anyone was at Edge Indy, we kind of touched on this, how you can use LinkedIn as a sales tool. Kind of talked about it, but didn't go in depth because we only have so much time. So we thought we would dig into that a little bit more here today. So that's what we're here for. Where should we kick off?
Yeah,
There's a lot of starting points on LinkedIn.
There's so much. Yeah, LinkedIn is a sales tool, right? I don't know. We use LinkedIn. We use LinkedIn for people we've worked with. The people who work with us use LinkedIn. I don't know. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Think of like 5 categories to talk through. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? We'll start there.
Well, there's the organic side of it. So this, when we've talked about this previously, this kind of feels like no duh in a way of how you can use LinkedIn just as LinkedIn was designed for sales. So that's connecting with people. So you are print company, print service provider. You want to work with restaurants. You want to work more in education. I feel like those are always our working examples here. How are you going to connect with people? You're going to find people in that industry. So you're going to search out people at certain companies you want to work with and find those individuals, find those decision makers and connect with them to start the conversation. So I feel like that's kind of no duh, but maybe it's worth talking about. I don't know. But that's kind of like where my head that's like a good starting point, I think.
Okay. When you say organic, what does it mean? What do you call organic? If people are listening,
I call organic not spending money. So there are other ways on LinkedIn you can use it. They have different products. They have ads, Sales Navigator, all those things. Those all cost money. So
all money, yes.
To me, organic equals free.
Yes. So I don't know how. I guess we could go in the weeds as we want on this. I will say that to get this out of the way, because then we can talk organic, just strategy in general. But I will say there's still a separate technical strategy that because you cannot just freely message people.
Right.
Like unless you're connected to somebody, you're not able to really send them messages unless you're using a paid
product. You got to connect with them first.
Exactly. You got to connect with them. So you've got to connect with individuals. And that gets tricky. I think the majority of people at this point in life, if you're a professional that's been in the business for a minute, you have people you can connect with, and that's okay. If you're brand new, that's different because no one knows to find people start making connections, but you actually do. For this to work, you have to connect with people. So I say how in the weeds, because that really is a separate tactic, because it's kind of there's like that fine line of like connecting with someone that you want to do business with, and to have a conversation with them, you have to connect with them. So it's a little weirder in this scenario because you've got to do things. So maybe we do talk about that. We do have to talk about the tactics in getting to those people, because right, you can search and find them. You can't. You just connect with them, right? No. If you do that, good luck.
You can send a note. I get that stuff all the time.
What's a note? What's sending it? You mean like a connection with the note attached to it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. What are you saying?
A first entry point being like commercial printer, print company, working with X industry, people in the industry, just wanted to connect. Keep it simple. Don't sell them right away. You just connect with them.
Okay. So I guess let's do we want to go? What would you do? Actually, you were mentioning to me. I'm like grilling you. I'm like turning the tables. I'm like, I'm the printer. I'm the print company. I'm asking you a bunch of questions. Like how makeup, and let's take one industry. It could be, I had, for whatever reason, restaurants were in my head.
Well, I said it earlier, so that might be why.
That's probably why. With restaurants and people who are going to buy print for their restaurant, for their chain, for whatever, or food service, whatever. How are you finding them organically? Like, what are you doing to find them organically?
I'm just using search inside of LinkedIn,
Okay.
going and looking at maybe it's specific restaurants that I know I want to work with. I feel like a lot of times when we talk to companies, and maybe it's not restaurant specifically, but they have an idea of like, oh, these are the schools within 30-40 mile radius that we want to work with. And so going out to those company, if they have a company page, if they have a page, or if you're searching out the name, you can find people that might be listed as like that they work there, and trying to find the right person. So maybe that's someone in marketing, maybe that's an owner. Yeah, I feel like that's
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm not grilling you on this. What I'm saying, because the one of the things that I personally struggle with is that, like, I want to talk to everybody, but again, this is in the weeds. But you have LinkedIn, and you have a bunch of people in different industries that you're going to reach out to, but some percentage of them are active, and a larger percentage are not active on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
They created a profile at one time for whatever reason, and they're not there that often, which someone could be like, well, that's a killer to your conversation here. LinkedIn is a sales tool, but not really, because if someone created an email or someone created a profile on LinkedIn at one point, the hope in this case, there's a lot of constants and a lot of variables that we could apply here, but like, let's say that someone owns a restaurant, or someone's a marketing director for a restaurant or a restaurant chain or group or whatever. If they've worked at that place for, let's say, an example, it's highly likely, and maybe that's the only place they ever worked, I don't know, but their email address is attached to LinkedIn. So even if they aren't actively on LinkedIn, if messages come through to them or alerts are set up so that, and they will get email, it's going to get to their inbox. So the good thing is that you can get visibility to these people, even if they're not active on LinkedIn. Why am I even talking about activity level, like active accounts? I'm not talking about dormant accounts to the degree of like they're defunct. Like the email address is bad. They never log in. They don't even, if someone went to find it, they wouldn't even be able to log in because they wouldn't know what to do. Not talking about accounts like that. But then you also have people that are active. That's where I say it gets a little weird, because organic, if we're being super fair here, organic is not a volume game. It's the equivalent of like knocking on a door, kind of, and you know that the majority of doors you knock on are not, they may not be good fits, they may not be interested, you may not be getting to the right person or whatever it is. So if you're organically reaching out to people, you're kind of playing the same game, even though it's still way more efficient than knocking on doors, because you don't have to go travel to the next one, and you don't have all that time. So you could say, hey, this is the golden age of door knocking, because you can just do it from here. Here, there's that. But like, I can tell you for me, and this is always going back to me, like, I like to prioritize my time. So I'm going to groups, right? Like I'm going to go to groups, or I'm going to go to those people that you just mentioned. I'll find the restaurants that are in my area, or the people I want to target, make my little, these are the companies I'd want to work with, whatever. And so then you go seek them out. Like, where do they have LinkedIn? Who are the people that work there? Who are the people I think are the decision makers and influencers to it? So you have it, so you can like seek them out and try to reach out to them. But before I ever like make a connection to them, I'm looking for those who are active. So if I go to an account and I see that they've posted, or I see that, you can look at their activity feed and you can see if they liked other posts or shared other things. Those people are obviously active on LinkedIn. So that's great. So like, I bucket those people. I'm like, they're active. Awesome. And so then you can start engaging with them, and you know there might be some reciprocity, like they might come back to you on something. But then also going to groups. So we talked restaurants, going to restaurant groups, restaurant marketing groups, restaurant sales groups, restaurant growth groups, whatever it is, find them, get into them, and target the people who are active there. Because the majority of people on LinkedIn are not publishing content. They're viewing, and they are of those who are active, they are engaging on it with just a like. Like, if you're talking about degradation of activity, it becomes the least amount of people are posting, a little more people are commenting, a little are, liking and sharing stuff. Like, oh, let's say a little more people are sharing, a little more people are liking. Like, the easiest action is a click a like. So great. But they did it. And if I'm looking at like a group that has a post that went up yesterday, and I see 45 likes on the thing, those 49 because they're active and they're like engaging on the platform. So I'll be like, who is active on my list? Like, who are the influencers there? And I look to that. And so then if I can identify those people that I know I'm going to talk to, and I see they're active, then I can engage on, if they post something, I'm liking that. I'm making a comment on that. If they're in a group and they're liking something, I'm going to like the thing they liked. I'm going to like comments in the stream that they've liked something in, or that they've commented on, or I like their comment, or I reply to their comment, say it's a great idea. Like, doing that first and then going to connect with those people, only because now there was a level of familiarity. Ask, even if the ask was solely just to connect. Like, I at least showed up. I know I showed up. And for many people, that might be you do it the first time or 3-4 times later because you want to get in with them. So I mean, I'm just speaking for me, and I'm trying to get like a real life example here on this. I hate connecting right up front out of the blue because I hate getting it personally. So I try not to do it. But with paid side, it's a totally different thing. We'll talk about paid, but like, I like that organic, but you might be stuck. I mean, if you don't have a lot of connections, you can't find a lot of activists.
I was going to say there might not be groups depending on the industries.
So if that's
there's some super active industries and there's some super not active.
Yeah, and so it's just like, you do what you got to do. And if those opportunities that I'm talking about, then you do what you got to do. You just reach out to them and be like, hey, I'm connecting with you. I'm trying to sell you, but I ain't trying to sell you right now. I just want to sell you when you're ready to be sold. Let's talk then, make it a little fun. Don't talk to me right now, please, unless you want to.
Should we talk paid now, since that's kind of I mean, there's also, I feel like you need to make the plug if we're tying a bow on organic.
What's the plug?
My plug is to like post on your company social.
Company social. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just like, this is like, as an individual, like I'm a owner, I'm a marketer, I'm a sales person at a print company. I can go do all those things we already talked about, but I think it's also important to just be visible as a company too, because you're connecting with these people, you're engaging with them. Where are they going? They're going to your profile. They're going to see where you work. And then if they're looking at the page of the company, it can't be a ghost. You got to have posts, you got to have content, stuff that you're sharing. So I feel like that's worth noting.
Yeah, that's a big one, actually. That's a big one. So no, that's a good plug. That's a big one. Cause like, if your company has content published, your company is legitimizing itself, at least on that channel. And it's providing assets and resources to those who are selling for you. So in the case of going after a restaurant, not only can you have the conversation with those that are active in a group or non-active or whatever, you're connecting with them, you have assets that you can share that are on LinkedIn. And just that tie-up. It's not like that clicking on your website. I could just as easily message someone with a link to my website, to a blog post that's about restaurant growth as it relates to using direct mail, right? As an example. But if it's on LinkedIn, the LinkedIn article can summarize it or be in whole, go back to your website. I just feel like there's that this is probably like, what's the word? I don't know. It's like going overboard kind of, but depending on what kind of print company you are or what kind of businesses you're going after, that little bit might make the difference to where there's an appreciation for the fact that the content you're sharing is native to the platform that you're sharing it in, and it becomes kind of a seamless, not taking someone away to my site, which I want them to. Look, believe me, I want everyone to go to your site. Go to our site. Go to your site, because you can do so much there. You're stuck to the limitations of a platform otherwise. But if it is the most efficient and ease of use is easy for your prospects in that moment, that makes a lot of sense. There's just an efficiency to the native element of what you're doing there. So like, you're right. It legitimizes the company. There's that little extra, by using content on the platform. Yeah. What a plug! I like
it. Paid.
A plug-in is in print-based publishes content to people's social, right? Like that's the plug.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the plug.
That's the plug. Paid side of LinkedIn. So
Paid side. I hate paid. I'm kidding. No, I don't hate paid. I love paid.
Paid works. Paid ads on LinkedIn. They work. What to talk about here? There's so much. I feel like there's so much to say. What's most important?
Paid. What? Split paid Sales Navigator. Like the two different things.
Okay, let's talk about ads.
Okay.
I'll talk about ads. You can talk about Navigator. Okay. Ads specifically for print is a really, really valuable tool. It comes at a cost, the cheapest platform, but it works because you're able, the targeting. How much do we want to nerd out here? We've ran ads in a lot of different ad platforms, and LinkedIn has been the one that has continuously performed and generated leads for print companies.
I know the answer
because
to
of
this.
the what?
What's performing best right now? I know the answer, but if I wasn't oh, you're running ads, I ran some ads too and they didn't work. What
lead
are you
ads.
running? Lead ads.
It's like the lead gen forums is what they're calling them, lead ads. So on LinkedIn, there's a number of different ad types you can run. So you can run what they call sponsored content, where it looks just like a post. You can either sponsor a post you've already published on your page, or you can essentially just create a post, create an ad, and it looks the same. So it's not like intrusive to the scroll environment. I'm always using my phone. People can be on a desktop too.
You're like a palm reader in that moment.
Yeah, like I have like the BlackBerry ball that I'm like.
How long till you die?
Yeah.
Are you dying young or no? Am I?
Yeah, I don't know. So that ad type is like the most common. You can do video carousel with like multiple images, whatever. But what we're talking about, lead gen, this is the ad type that has performed the best consistently. So the ad itself looks the same as the sponsored content. It's an image and it's got copy like on top of the image, like a normal post. But then when you click on it, instead of it sending them out to your website, it puts a form right in front of them. And that form is pre-populated with information from their LinkedIn profile. And the reason this is important is because people are lazy. They don't want to go to your website, even though we want them to go to the website. They don't want to go to your website, click around to find whatever they are looking for, to learn about you, what you do, services, find a form to contact you. Even if you send them right there, it's still not good enough. You send them to the page that they need, it's still not good enough.
Let me get this clear. Are you saying that people are lazy? Is that actually what you're saying?
Yeah. I don't do that as a consumer.
I agree.
I don't do that. But on LinkedIn, they put the form is right. The form's right in front of them. Yeah. It pre-fills their information, name, email, company, phone, whatever fields you put in there. And all they have to do is hit submit. They hit a submit button, and then they get whatever you're offering. Maybe that's
don't do this. Don't be this person, right? So let's get real nerdy for a second. For all the form nerds out there, that's probably 0 people listening to this, to be honest. But like progressive profiling, right? Progressive forms, things like dynamic forms, reactive forms, things that where we've sessioned you and you filled something out in the past. So we already know your name and all this. We know all the stuff about where you work and your title and your name and your phone number. So we're going to ask other questions like, what favorite dog breed do you have? What's your this and what's your, don't do, unless you're like a retail company or something, man. Like don't get all giddy thinking it pre-fills. It's pre-filled. So I could just ask more than, right? Like, it's already filled out. No, don't do that. Just let them hit the submit.
Yeah, the point is they don't have to do any work.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was my point. Exactly. What you're saying. We wrapped it up, finished it. Don't make them do work. LinkedIn's trying to help you. They're trying to help you. Don't make them do work.
And then you have their information. It's great. It works. We've seen it work in a lot of different industries, running print companies, running ads, targeting different industries. It's worked. They're getting leads. They're getting names and emails and phone numbers from company names from these ads. So it works. Yes. What else do we want to say about ads?
What else about them?
I mean, there's like the targeting.
Yeah. What other ad types? What other ad types, for example?
There's video ads. I also saw someone share, I think it was literally yesterday. I saw a post that was like, "Oh, great, now video has or LinkedIn has Reels." This I'm getting distracted away from ads.
I feel like I should know that. Thanks for calling me out. I hadn't seen it.
Okay,
And my look
we'll
of
revisit that
surprise,
after this video.
my
We're
look
gonna
of
come back.
surprise gave it away too. I was like, oh, really? No, I knew that. No.
Yeah, we totally do that. But there's video ads. So instead of just like a static image, there's videos. You can do carousel images where you have multiple images. That's really good for like product stuff. But again, I mean, for print specifically, just going simple with like the image is really helpful. But if you got to pair it with the form on the other side of the click. So
And like the message ad, like the old InMail or message ads, they change the names of these things.
Yeah.
Those are cool, but man, this one's always kind of been a tough one because it's like people look at it, it's spam. They get it and they're like, I didn't talk to you. The problem is like this. I just feel like the majority of the InMail or message ads that I get, they're either not relevant enough or it's like this. Not even that it's a commodity service. It's like something that's being hyped and I'm getting pummeled with. So like right now, not talking LinkedIn ads for a second or InMail ads. It's like my inbox is full of people trying to sell me AI work. And I'm just like, you become blind to it at that point because everybody's hawking it. So it's like, I can promise you, Alyssa and I can promise you that there is a deluge of print companies hawking print to everybody. It's the opposite. No one's doing anything. And I'm sorry if you take offense to that as a print company. Like, no, we're reaching out. Our sales team's all over it. They ain't. They're not. They're not. Like, we talk to everybody, and they're not. Those who are, they're big. They're big, and they're crushing it. So, sorry, not to. Yeah. It's not to be offensive. That's why we're talking about it. It's like, go do it. Go crush it. So if you think you are, you're not. Like, go crush it. And you're not going to run into that camp. I just feel like if someone's not interested, they're not interested. They'll move on. But like 50 freaking messages in a week on the same thing from all these other people, and you don't know who to go with, that's different. But one will stand out for sure. Yeah. And that's coming from a person. That's a little bit different, right? Because you were talking about business company page, ads run through the business company page. You have to have a real human being that's attached to that company, and those messages are coming from them. So it makes it a little more intimate, a little more personalized, and there's a little more that people have to deal with there as a company. Right. Your salesperson has to be agreeable to that. You're connecting to LinkedIn. So there's more to it, but whatever. I talk, and it's just a lot of people don't run it because they're afraid to. So
yeah. Well, we tend to talk a lot in forever. So let's talk about Sales Navigator.
Sales Navigator. Okay. And I'm talking about Sales Navigator?
Yeah.
Well, we both can. I'll start. So ads, you were just talking about ads, criteria of like what you can target with ads, but it's the same as Sales Navigator. So I'll use that and I'll talk about both here in a second. So on the ad side, you could go in and say, hey, I have this objective, whatever. So forget all that for a second. But it's who you want to get after. So you were like, oh, let's talk to someone in the restaurant space. So you can legitimately go into LinkedIn and say, I want to talk to people in the restaurant industry. And in this moment, I can't tell you what the breakdowns are, but larger industries have more subsets of the industries listed. Some it might be so broad because there's not enough volume that they can differentiate within subsets. So it might just be food service. It might be fast casual. It might be fine dining, right? You can get into those kind of subsets, but regardless, you choose an industry and then you can layer those things, filter them, right? One of the things we did, I think we talked about this in Indy. I'm pretty sure I brought this up in, we talked about social selling in Indy and in saying LinkedIn ad targeting specifically, but there's or statements like and or. So you can say, target someone in the restaurant industry, and the next line item is like, I want to target someone with the job type, like a job function in marketing, as an example. You're targeting every single person in the restaurant industry and every single person with a marketing function across all industries, right? So you got to make sure you're not using these or statements. and you've got to layer them into ands. So let's call it filters, but you'll see the numbers of who you're targeting dwindle. You want it to, but it's like restaurant as an industry. Cool. Next, someone in a marketing function, and you can choose from all these different job titles. It has different things, like you can aggregate it. Like in some cases, it's like, I'm saying that in a way, the language changes, but like marketing function, whatever it is, right? So you can take these job titles. So now you know someone in marketing working for a restaurant group, and that number is going to be something. So you can target all those people. Or you could say, I only want to work with people in the Northwest. I'm in Brooklyn, and I only want to work with people up here in Maine, New York, New Jersey, all around you, right? So also by state. Or you can say, I only want to work with companies who have a head count, like an employee count of blank, assuming they're of a specific size, meaning their revenue is of a specific size. So you can layer these things in based on your own strategy. In this moment, we're not telling you who to target. We're just saying, like, that is how you would target on the ad. Now, let's pull ourselves over to, or pull the curtain away from the Sales Navigator side. It's the exact same thing. So all of the criteria for finding people to talk to on the ad side, as you're going to run ads, you can do that in Sales Navigator. So the same criteria, and then that'll bring up a list of individuals. Where the ad side doesn't show you a list of individuals, the ad side means you're going to show an ad to those people, and you don't get to see who they are. On Sales Navigator side, you get to see who they are. So two of these things, they actually pair together, because if you're trying to validate that your ad decision choice on accurate, you look it up in Sales Navigator, sample who shows up in that list, and be like, yup, yes, that's who I want. Or, wow, didn't even think someone like that would show up in there. Oh, I see why. Let me cut this out. Whatever it is, right? It helps you refine your audience, because you get to see who's actually in it. Without Sales Navigator, to that depth, it's not that specific. Then they try to give you some extra tools like save them as leads, create a list. That's fine. But that would be more of like the operational side of a salesperson. So if someone chose to do that, they could do that. But this at least gets you those people. So you're going to have to retain them or do something to follow up with them. Sales Navigator, we have levels like credit amounts. So you can only message people directly, a certain number of them, depending on how much you pay. So I honestly, off the top of my head, I can't remember the exact number, but let's call it 50 to be fair. You can message 50 people directly using cost right. So anything above that, you got to pay more. And they're trying to make, they're just trying to make a living over there. Microsoft bought it. They're really, they gotta help these guys out, right? I'm kidding, but they make you pay. So you do have to pay. There, see those people individually and get to curate who you're going to talk to individually. And so if you're in a market where it's hyper finite, especially, that's really, really important, because you can set up alerts, like you can start to follow them even. So, I mean, as an individual, you can, but as a Sales Navigator user, you can watch them. Right? Like if they publish something, Sales Navigator is going to make sure that you know that they publish something. Or if you have criteria set, you have a list saved of all the marketing decision makers in the restaurant industry, it will run that at some frequency on its own and add people. Hey, there are new people who meet your criteria that we think you should add to it. So it's like going to keep you up. That's on its own. It's doing that unprompted, but like it will do that. So that's nice. But it's just a way to be able to, and if you went and bought a list, assuming the list was accurate, most people and most salespeople, most print companies that have sales functions like that, they're used to buying lists. They'll go buy a list. They're doing that as a service on their own if they're doing direct mail for other people. But in this case, you're able to see them, know who they are, where they're at, see their activity online. You're able to engage with them that way. Just keep track of it. So Sales Navigator is nice for that. There's some convenience to it, but there is a cost. I believe $150 a month is the base cost. So it's pretty high. That's not expensive. For others, it is. And like I think of the number, I said 50. Let's say it's 50 to 75. Even that though can feel low. I mean, if someone's sole job is to be doing outreach,
that goes quick.
Yeah, for sure. And but it's not like every message. It's not like a credit every time you respond. It's not like that. It's that initial send to someone new. That's where the cost credit gets So that's nice. Sales Navigator is great for that. Anything on Sales Navigator?
No.
Because what I was going to say is there's other tools you can pair with it. So if you have Sales Navigator, for example, you can integrate that with other CRMs to start to enrich your own database. So if you do have people in there, this can suck that data into it, and it gives you visibility. There's some things you can do there. Also, you can use tools like Get Prospect, which it's like a browser overlay that works with LinkedIn. And so I could say, show me one thing that you can't always get from contacts on LinkedIn are their email addresses. Like that used to be more visible in the past. If whatever email address they had, that was available to you. You could export it. That all went away when Microsoft bought them. But you can still attempt to get it. So tools like Get Prospect will overlay, and you can say, here is my criteria. And let's say there's 4 pages of contacts that you want to try to contact. You can use a tool like Get Prospect, click the button, say, add this to my leads list, and it will, there's kind of like a macro. It almost acts as a person, and it basically scrapes and copies the people from each page. It'll move page to page, and you can watch it do it on your screen. And it will put these people into a list, and then it will go email address, their phone number, and it will tell you if the email address, like it's confidence level. Like this is for sure their email. This is probably like it's a high likelihood this is their email. And then someone's like, we found it, but we don't know. Like, and you get a lot of these tools that try to construct an email. So it's like, oh, I found Jane Smith at this company. I found that this company has a domain of, companyabc.com. So there's a chance it's Jane.Smith at company ABC, J Smith, or, that kind of thing. And it's like, all right. But when it does that, it tells you maybe. It's like, might be. But it never found it publicly. When it attached to that person, then it's like green and you're good to go. That's a really helpful tool. But again, it's another cost. There's another cost for that. But that's really helpful depending on what you're doing. We're so focused on digital. It's like we want the email. So that's something to add to it. But it gives you visibility that you just don't get. So that's part
for
of it.
Sure. Anything else before we?
Anything else on using LinkedIn as a sales tool?
Yeah, before we wrap it up.
Everything else. We're never gonna wrap it up. How long? I thought we were breaking a record. I thought we were trying to go all day. No, macro stuff. We don't have to go into details. There are other things in tools you can use that kind of fake it out. It's against our terms of service, LinkedIn, but I'm not one to, squeeze my way through the cracks of the terms of service. But you can also use other tools that will emulate you doing things online. So we talked about organic tools that will go and on your behalf, like you could set search criteria. I want to go after these people and these industries with these titles, and these tools will go out and act as if they are you. You log in, you connect them to your LinkedIn, and they will like people's stuff. So you could do it at scale. It's almost, instead it will be like, hey, if they've posted, you can sell this weird criteria. If they've posted in the last week, like the most recent post, stuff like that, go and view their profile. So I've used this a lot, and it's like, go view this person's profile. If they view mine back, there's back. And then 2 days later, go view it again. And then once they view mine, the next day, connect request. So we were talking about how do you connect with them? We do that because, again, I know that there's familiarity. I looked at them, they looked at me. I looked at them, they looked at me. So it's kind of, it's like at the end of the two people are like glances at each other. I'm doing that in LinkedIn. I'm glancing back at each other. And then I make the connect. Then I slide over and say, can I buy you a Moscow Mule? Can I buy you this fancy drink,
Oh my God.
Let's have a lead conversation. Yeah. Anybody ever done that? Have you done that, Alyssa?
I haven't actually.
The
Weirdly enough.
Airport bar. Hey, you look like someone who might be a great lead. I saw you glance at me. So let me buy you this carrot
Moscow
juice.
Mule. Carrot juice.
Yeah. Yeah. Might have been on a cleanse. Looked like someone who's very fit. Might have been on a cleanse. So. Never know. So there are tools like that. The whole point was there are tools that can help you do that. It's at scale. It's just how fancy do you want to be? How fancy do you want to get? Yeah, sales. LinkedIn is a sales tool. It's huge. One channel, but it's a good one because you can people just
there's a lot. There's a lot you can do with it. I think that's why
here's where I work.
Spend some more time on it.
Everything about them. So it's a wealth of knowledge.
Yep. All right. Well, I think I'm going to cut us off now because we've talked a lot already.
Perfect. All right. Well, then the final closing words are what? Go use it. Go do it.
Yeah. Use it.
Yes. All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.